Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. It's fantastic to have you here because today is part 3 of working on our herringbone Turkish twist pattern integral guard bolster. I don't know what's happening. This part 3 of working on this Bowie knife. The next step, closing this up, welding it together to make some incredible patterning. This is going to be exciting. You know what else is exciting? The awesome new embroidered polo available now. AlecSteeleShop.com. Let's weld this thing together. Let's get it stuck. We have a big problem. So we went to the grinding room to grind this out to make sure there weren't any cracks in the piece. And I'm very concerned that there are. I think right at the tip of my thumbnail there is an inclusion, and on the other side it actually looks even worse. And I can see the seam running from the very tip all the way down with a little extra inclusion right at the crotch of the seam. Elsewhere we're still good. There are no cracks. This is a big problem. But I got the forge hot. We're gonna put it in, heat it up. Once it's warm, we're gonna flux it and we're gonna try and weld it again. Now, at this stage, not 100% that we're gonna be able to get it back welded again. You know, when it doesn't take the first time, it usually means it was too oxidized. There were too many impurities in there to allow it to weld that time. And that's usually why it won't weld the second time, because that stuff is already in there. And hammering on it more doesn't particularly change that. So, I'm gonna say 60% chance of failure, 40% chance of success. We'll see. Start welding. Right, let's see if we can weld it. Let's take another heat. I don't need all of this. I'm going to cut it off. Oh! We've done it! Yes! There are no more cracks. This is great! So that means it is now time to finally forge the blade. We're gonna leave it thick. We need 10 inches, which means naturally we're gonna go to 10.5 so that we have enough to, enough fudgeability. We're gonna leave it thick because I've heard that these type of patterns like to have stock removal grinds as opposed to forged bevels. I'd like to keep it thick because of that. If we need to forge the bevels to get the width, then that's fine. We got plenty of meat to work with. Let's turn on the power hammer and get to it. Okay, so at this point, we are at the tweaking stage. At this point, it is going to be the 5% of effort, 5% of extra effort I put in now that has the potential to save me 20, 30, 40% of the time later down the line, and has the potential to increase the quality of what it is that I'm making so much more. This is the point when I'm making stuff where I find it easiest to go, nah, I'll just leave it. That's fine, I'll fix it at the next step. Always best to try and do it right as I go. And each time I make a project, I learn that lesson. So I better try my best to put into practice what I've learned today. So just a few little tweaks. I want to make sure that we're straight down the material that we have for our guard. I also want to make sure that we are in the middle of our guard. Now, it's a difficult measurement to take, really, but we'll be able to see if we're way off. That looks pretty close to me. We're within a millimeter, which is good. Blade edge is mostly straight. I like the profile. This looks mean. It looks like a fighter. That's good. Got the point in line with where our center of the handle is going to be, which is going to hopefully make it a good stabber. Got a nice recurve coming out here. Meteor's point of the blade is right there. In the grind, I'm going to take this clip, give it a little more curve, a little more shape to it. A little more like that, I think. Take some from down there. I don't want to hammer that in, though, because if I hammer this back, we're going to be reducing the material there. And I like that belly. We need that. We've got a swell back here. That's going to have to be ground out. I'm going to call the blade roughed out enough that I'm going to pause and risk damaging the blade by forging out our guard material right there. Once we do that, it's onto the tang. Right, round side of the hammer. Pinch that down some. Okay. I really should have drawn this out a lot further, a lot sooner. I kind of like to operate by the Brown Brazil-esque, don't go too far too fast. I'm trying to slowly glide into the finish point and not overshoot it. And this is where that bit me in the foot. Had I drawn that guard lug out further sooner, I wouldn't have the issue I have now, which is having no idea. Oh, I have an idea. Yeah, this is a great idea. This is not going to work. Who said that was a great idea? Ah! Well, oh, it's a problem. There we go. That will work! Huh. Isn't that funny? Oh, ho, ho, ho. Yes! There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I've got the blade straight. Now that the blade is straight, I'm going to work off of that to get everything else where we want it. I'm basically just going to be going back between the anvil and the vise and hammering it and tweaking it. Okay, now we normalize. Right, we are gonna call it there for a day. This thing has done a bunch of normalizing cycles. It is very thick. We have so much material to remove, but that's gonna expose a beautiful pattern. So thank you for joining me. Hit subscribe if you are new, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode, which will actually have nothing to do with this, but we'll be back at this soon. So subscribe, grab yourself one of these beautiful new polo shirts that are available at the website now, alecsteelshop.com. It's been a pleasure and an honor as always. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on a very different episode.